Okay, I think we are here. Today we're going to be talking about decimals. So everything that I have written on this sheet, you need to copy down in your notebook. What's great about these videos is you can pause if you need to catch up, or you can replay something if you didn't get it down. So please utilize those functions of the video to ensure that you are getting all of these notes down. Okay, so decimals, remember, are fractions of a whole number or a portion, a smaller than one, between 1 and 0. What am I talking about? Let's start with 2.135668. It's really important that we are understanding the place values of all of these numbers. So my first place value behind the decimal point is that 1, and the 1 is in the tenths place. All these end in a TH. The 3 is in the hundredths place. The 5 is in the thousands place. The 8 is in the 10,000s place. Sorry, did I say 6? And then 6 is in the 10,000s. 8 now is in the 100,000s. Place. Okay. Obviously, this goes on and on really forever to infinity, but we're not going to talk about all those place values. We're just going to stick with these now. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000s, 100,000s. Okay. So make sure we get those place values down. Let's talk about how we're going to read these numbers. Let's take something 2.5. We want to, instead of saying 2.5, we want to name the place value when we are expressing this number. So instead of 2.5, we're going to say 2, and the and stands for the decimal, 5/10. So where did the 5/10 come from? Well, the 5 I know is in the tenths place. So all I need to do is say the number followed by the place value that it's in. Another example is 3.75. We're going to try to avoid saying 3.75. We want to say 3, and remember the and is the decimal. Now this is 75. But the last digit here is in the hundredths place. So that's what's going to tell us the decimal. So this is going to be said 75 hundredths. That's how we say it. Another way to think about this is fractions. And down the line, we're going to be converting a number like this, 3 and 75 hundredths, to a fraction. So this 75 hundredths can be written as 75 over 100. There's my fraction right there. So this is 3 and 75 hundredths. Going back to this example, 2 and 5/10. Well, that can be written as 2 and 5/10. So the tenths here is our denominator. The hundredths down here is our denominator. Okay, so that's basics with decimals, the place values, and how we say them. Let's talk about adding and subtracting now. So I'm going to give myself a new header. So now we're going to get into the operations of decimals. We're talking about adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. We're going to start with adding and subtracting because they have the same rule. That rule is we line up the place values, including the decimal point. So now that we have an understanding what those place values are, we're going to put those to work when we're adding and subtracting decimals. Let's go right into our first practice problem. 11.5 or 11 and 5/10 plus 3.2 or 3 and 2/10. All I need to do is stack these on top of each other and make sure that the place values are lined up, and especially that decimal point. So the decimal point can be a good starting point to help you make sure that they are stacked properly in terms of their place values. So I'm going to start with the bigger number here. Actually, I like to start with the one that has the most digits. And this one has 3, this one has 2. So I'm going to start with the bigger one on top. When we're adding, remember, adding doesn't matter the order when we're adding. But then 3.2 is going to be underneath it. Now, notice that my tenths place are lined up, my decimal point, my ones place on the other side of the decimal, and my tenths place are all lined up. We want to make sure that our place values are lined up when we're adding. After my place values are lined up, my decimal point is going to drop down to the same point that it is now. And all I need to do is add. 5 plus 2 is 7. 1 plus 3 is 4. 1 plus nothing is 1. So here's my answer, 14.7 or 14 and 7/10. Let's do another one. There goes my light. Come on, baby. Okay. Let's do 15 plus 2.7. Let's start with, let me show you what a common mistake is. I see this a lot. 15 and 2.7. Okay, they're stacked up. We're ready to go. Well, if I look at my place values, I realize that they are not lined up. The 5 is in the ones place and the 7 is in the tenths place. Those don't match. Same thing here. The 1 here is in the tens place and the 2 is in the ones place. That doesn't match either. If I think about the decimal point, even though the decimal point isn't written in our 15, we know that it lands back there. And I can see clearly now that my decimal point is not lined up. So this is an incorrect way to stack up this problem. We need to start, I like to start with the bigger number, 15. Here's my decimal place. And what's going to help us with this problem is adding a 0 as a place value holder, because I see over here that I've got 2.7 in the tenths place. So I need to account for that in my number up here. So now I've got 2.7. Now everything is nicely lined up. My tenths place, my decimal point, my ones, and my tens. Please understand the difference between the way these two problems are written. The place values are not lined up here, but they are here thanks to that 0 as a placeholder. So now I'm ready to add. 0 plus 7 is 7. My decimal point just falls down exactly where it is in the problem. 5 plus 2 is also 7, and 1 plus nothing is 1. So here's my answer, 17.7 or 17 and 7/10. Let's do one last one with subtraction. $11 and 5/10 minus 55. This is what I want. 11 and 55 hundredths. Remember, the last digit is what we say for our place value. So this is 55 hundredths minus 2 and 6/10. When we are subtracting, we always put the bigger number on top. So my 11.55 is on top. And my 2.6 is going to fall right underneath that. And you can start with the decimal point, and I've got the 2 in the ones place and the 6 in the tenths place. Now there's some free spaces here. I'm subtracting. I can always add zeros to those free spaces just to make sure everything is lined up, and add a holder for our place value. So I started with 2.6 and I added a 0 in the hundreds place to match this hundreds place up here. And I added a 0 in the tens place to match that tens place there. Sorry, 0 in the tens place there for the 1 in the tens place there. Now I'm ready to subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5. Cannot take 6 away from 5, so I need to borrow. Go over 1, just like you would with regular whole number subtraction. That 1 turns into a 0, and the 1 gets bumped up over here to the 15. Now I can take 6 away from 15. My answer is 9. My decimal place falls right below it where it is in the problem. I can't take 2 away from 0 now, so I need to do another round of borrowing. That turns into a 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. And here is my answer, 8 and 95 hundredths. That's it for decimals, including adding and subtracting. If you need to go back and rewatch any of these parts, please do, but you are responsible for all of these notes. Thanks for watching.